When German tank crews faced the deadly American machine on the battlefield, they often had no more than 3 minutes. 3 minutes to spot it, aim, and fire, before it disappeared at full speed. That machine was the M18 Hellcat, a tank destroyer that earned its legendary reputation not through heavy armor or massive firepower, but through sheer speed, maneuverability, and the element of surprise. It was not the thickest armored vehicle, nor the heaviest, but it proved that speed and tactics could be just as deadly as guns and armor. The story of the Hellcat begins in the early 1940s, when American commanders were forced to face a brutal reality. German tanks, the Panzer IV, the Panther, and the fearsome Tiger, dominated the European battlefields. Blitzkrieg had shown the world that infantry and traditional artillery were not enough to stop a sudden armored strike. The Allies needed a weapon capable of not only destroying tanks, but doing so in a way that could counter German tactics. Thus, the United States developed the concept of the tank destroyer. Light, fast vehicles armed with powerful guns, designed to intercept enemy armor, ambush it, and maneuver around the battlefield. This doctrine left no place for thick armor or slow-moving vehicles. What mattered most was speed and the ability to strike first. Out of this idea came the M18, soon nicknamed the Hellcat, an infernal predator on tracks. The Buick Company was tasked with its development, and its engineers knew the assignment perfectly: build the fastest armored vehicle in the world. To achieve this, they sacrificed armor. The Hellcat's hull was thin, just a few centimeters of steel. Its turret was open-topped, leaving the crew vulnerable to artillery, shrapnel, and aircraft. But the real focus was on the engine and mobility. Under the hood was a Continental radial engine, producing more than 400 horsepower, and with its lightweight construction, the Hellcat could reach an astonishing 55 miles per hour, about 90 kilometers per hour, making it the fastest armored fighting vehicle of the Second World War. This speed became its greatest weapon. Unlike the lumbering Tigers and Panthers, which crawled across the battlefield, the Hellcat moved like a racing car. Its tactics were built around mobility: appear suddenly, fire a shot, then vanish before the enemy could return fire. German crews often had no idea what hit them. They would see a flash, hear the thunder of a shot, and within 3 minutes, the Hellcat was gone, leaving behind the smoking wreck of a Panzer. The Hellcat was armed with a 76mm gun, powerful enough to penetrate most German tanks, especially when hitting their sides or rear. Against the heavily armored Tiger, a frontal assault was nearly suicidal, but the Hellcat was never meant to fight head-on. Instead, its crews relied on maneuver, flanking, and ambushes. They would circle their prey, strike from unexpected angles, and rely on their speed to escape retaliation. The M18 first saw action in Italy, where narrow mountain roads and rough terrain allowed it to showcase its agility. But it was in France and Germany that the Hellcat cemented its reputation. During the Battle of the Bulge in late 1944, American forces were caught off guard by the German offensive. The Wehrmacht unleashed its heavy armor, including Tigers and Panthers, and American infantry had little to stop them. That was when the Hellcats moved into action. Operating in small groups, they raced across roads and forest paths, set up ambushes, and opened fire on advancing German columns. Their speed allowed them to strike quickly and relocate before enemy tanks could counterattack. At Bastogne, several M18 Hellcats held back an entire German armored group, buying precious time for reinforcements to arrive. German tankers soon realized the danger. They knew they had only a narrow window to respond. But how could they hit a target that moved faster than any armored vehicle they had ever seen? Even the mighty Tiger, with its thick armor, was vulnerable if the Hellcat struck from the side. German guns were powerful, but their crews often found themselves aiming at empty space. The Hellcat had already disappeared. Of course, the Hellcat was not invincible. Its armor was so thin that even heavy machine guns could damage it. A single artillery shell or air attack could destroy it instantly. The open-top turret left crews exposed to shrapnel, mortars, and even grenades. For this reason, the manuals taught a simple rule: never stand still. Movement was life. The Hellcat's survival depended on constant motion, using terrain for cover, and striking before the enemy realized where it was. And yet, despite its vulnerability, the Hellcat proved devastatingly effective. Statistics show that it had the highest kill-to-loss ratio of any American armored vehicle of the war. While Sherman tanks often struggled in direct duels with Panthers and Tigers, the Hellcat turned tank combat into something different. It was not a slugging match of armor versus armor. It was a hunt. Fast, cunning, and deadly, the Hellcat was more like a cavalry raider than a traditional tank. American crews grew proud of their Hellcats. They knew their lives depended on speed and skill. Every mission was a gamble. Fire first, then escape before the enemy could react. This cat-and-mouse style of fighting made them some of the most daring armored crews of the war. By the war's end, the M18 Hellcat had proven its worth. It showed that mobility and cunning could counter raw firepower. It gave the Allies a weapon that could keep up with the German Panzers and, in many cases, outmatch them. Where brute force failed, speed and surprise succeeded. Even after the war, the Hellcat remained in service in several countries, a reminder of its unique design philosophy. It stood as proof that sometimes victory does not belong to the strongest or the heaviest, but to the fastest and the cleverest. For German tank crews, the Hellcat was a nightmare, a phantom that appeared suddenly, struck without warning, and vanished before they could return fire. For American soldiers, it became a symbol of daring and ingenuity, and in the vast history of World War II, the Hellcat earned its place among the most remarkable fighting machines of the era.